Question. On October 30th, 2018, I received an order from Guanping Bodhisattva. The king of hell wanted me to visit the underworld and bring a Guanyin Siddha Dharma door scroll along with me. The scroll would be handed over to the underworld. While resting at home, my soul was whisked off to the underworld by a ray of golden light. The king of hell read through the scroll, stamped it with an official seal, and handed it back to me. He told me to give it to Guanyin Siddha's Dharma protectors. The king of hell soon told me. Today we received a recently deceased person. He's a relative of, a disciple of Guanyin Siddha. Since his family member is practicing Guanyin Siddha Dharma door and has performed significant meritorious deeds, Guanyin Bodhisattva granted him succor when he died, allowing him to meet with you and share his experience in detail. It will serve as a warning to the practitioners of Guanyin Siddha to not be greedy for wealth and fame. These attributes are nothing but vanity and become empty in the blink of an eye. The right thing to do is to teach your descendants to accumulate virtues, perform acts of kindness, and practice Buddhism. If you leave your children an inheritance, it will only bring trouble, as the offspring will engage in ceaseless and self-interested strife. The conflict will never stop for these family members, and they complain bitterly to me when they die. Even as the king of hell, I cannot do much about it, as there is never an end to revenge taking. People in the human world only see the suffering that stems from the consequences, but have you ever thought that the source of the suffering is the karmic causes sown in a previous lifetime? When the right time and conditions arrive, you must undergo your own retribution. A deceased person's soul was escorted to the court. Appearing to be middle-aged, he said, "When I was alive, my brother and I ran a business together. I didn't expect him to be so greedy. He wanted a bigger share of the company and family fortune. I was illiterate, so I allowed him to take care of the sales. He took advantage of my illiteracy and forged some documents. We fell out over the splitting of profits. I must admit that I was also at fault, as my family embezzled some company funds behind his back. I suggested that we should all take a step back and split the company shares and go our separate ways, but he kept pressing me and threatened to take legal action. The legal process was complicated and I knew nothing about it, so I was in a disadvantaged situation. Helplessly, I begged him to have mercy on my wife, children and grandchildren, so that I may be able to sustain my family. Instead, he mocked me and said I deserved absolutely nothing. I became furious and foolishly took the advice of a bad friend, who said that since he was unkind, I should also be merciless and kill him. I dwelled on the issue for such a long time that I became depressed and ill. In a moment of foolishness, I prepared a weapon and drove to my brother's house. Since he wasn't willing to let me live, I felt that we might as well die together. But when I tried to kill him, I killed my nephew instead, and my brother escaped. I was arrested and sent to the police station. Before I died, I felt guilty. I cried silently and repented. But the mistake had been made and it was too late to regret. Upon his death, my nephew was escorted to the underworld and he complained to the king of hell. He then went back to the human realm to take my life as revenge for his wrongful death. After I died, I was sent to the hell realm to experience the pain of the punishment for the offense of killing, to have my hands and feet cut off. I wailed and howled with grief, but I was willing to bear the punishment. Luckily, I have a relative who practices Guanyin Siddha Dharma door. She sympathized with my situation and cried and prayed to the Bodhisattva to grant me succor. The Bodhisattva showed mercy, allowing me to share my case with the human world. Do not leave any inheritance for your children, the middle-aged soul declared. It will only serve to induce family feud, or even the act of killing among family members. After I died, I had to undergo punishment in hell. Wealth and glory become empty in the blink of an eye. You cannot take any of it with you except your own karma. I beg for the Bodhisattva's mercy, and to let this meritorious deed reduce my sentence in hell. The king of hell sighed. Guanyin Bodhisattva is so compassionate. When he died, the Bodhisattva advised him that the punishment was all because of his karma, created by the karmic conflict in his previous life. In fact, we have checked his brother's record, and he is very greedy and dishonest in business. In years to come, he will undergo retribution. The good will be rewarded and the evil punished. Once, this offender attended Master Jun Hong Lu's Dharma talk, but he failed to cherish his affinity with Buddhism. If only he had practiced Guanyin Siddha like his relative, he would not have been so foolish in committing this misdeed. The king of hell sighed again. With the session now over, the king signaled me to leave. I took the scroll and left the underworld. Master Jun Hong Lu's reply. In the human realm, a person may have short-term gains, but suffering awaits them once they descend to hell. Buddhists should never create negative karma. Do not fight with others. If you fight, you may win, but you will suffer later. Good is rewarded and evil punished. It's just a matter of time. In an aviation accident in Indonesia, all 189 passengers died. The husband of a fellow Buddhist was supposed to be aboard the plane, but somehow something prevented him from boarding the flight. Reciting Buddhist scriptures is always good. When you're being chased and tortured in your dreams, aren't you afraid? It's the same feeling when you die. Although you cannot move your body, you suffer constantly. That's why you should never do evil.